Welcome to Libertarian Counterpoint. I am James Just, and with me today is Mr. Leon Brathwaite. Leon, today we're talking about this thing called fiction and reality. Or the fiction of reality, depending upon exactly who you're talking to. How I was titling this was a strange one, because there's a lot of things that we think are true but aren't, and a lot of things we don't think are true that I want to say are, but are undecided still. And it's just, there's a lot of confusion about what is real and what isn't real these days. And so we're going to start here with talking about what's wrong with opinion polls. There was a recent poll that showed Joe Biden losing badly to Donald Trump, and
by 10 points, I think.
And there's a lot of people who are confused by this, right? Especially if you're a Democrat, you're insanely confused about this. And you know, for those of us who sit outside of these political spectrums, it actually makes sense. You know, if somebody who you can't understand how people would like is beating you, maybe you should spend some time looking in the mirror, you know, and some self-reflection would be, but that's not what people are tending to doing. They're trying to blame everything but themselves, right?
Of course.
And this is kind of the problem, is we're looking at everything, but okay, Donald Trump is a reaction to something. What's he a reaction to? You know, what is it? A rule of physics.
Every action is an equal and
opposite reaction. Yes. And so Donald Trump is a reaction to something. And,
of course, yes.
And so until we take a hard look at what that is, opinion polls are actually worthless. Right? We've actually seen how opinion polls are worthless, right, in the last couple of years.
We have. The 2022 midterms is a very good example of that, where there was supposed to be this big red wave. You know, the Republicans were supposed to have like a 40-seat majority in the House of Representatives, and it turned out like they end up with 4 or 5-seat majority or something like that, something really way below expectations. And this red wave did not produce any sort of majority in the Senate. And some of the governor races that they expected to win, they didn't do so. They performed way below expectations, which gets back to the whole issue of these opinion polls. In the case of Donald Trump and Joe Biden, this is a very strange case, you know, because we are seeing something here that we have never seen in American history before, and that is Joe Biden, who is the President of the United States, is now prosecuting through the Justice Department, prosecuting what could look like his main opponent, which is Donald Trump. I think as it stands right now, through the federal and the state charges right now, I think Donald Trump has about 91 indictments against him. And on the other side of that coin now, so here's Trump struggling now to, I guess, probably stay out of prison, I guess, if you want to put it that way. On the other side of that coin, you have a man who is in clear cognitive decline. This man is clearly losing his marbles. There's no doubt about it. Every single day, you turn on the TV, Joe Biden had another gaffe, another one. And it goes on and on and on and on. Sometimes they are so unbelievable that I don't know how this man could remain president, quite frankly.
It's actually quite uncomfortable to watch.
Honestly, I mean,
just from a human perspective, forget politics. It's uncomfortable to watch as a human.
You know, I would never vote for that man, but I look at that man, I really feel sorry for him. Honestly, just like you say, just out of that human feeling within you, I just feel sorry for the guy, because somebody in the White House, in the Democratic Party, is manipulating this man. Okay, he's nothing more than a figurehead. He could barely finish a sentence most of the time. But so we have this strange dynamic where we have a man under indictment, and we have another one in serious cognitive decline, and these looks as it is right now. Look at these are the two people who will be competing in the 2024 presidential elections. Now, how is the opinion polls going to pick up those dynamics? I don't think they could.
No, it's not possible.
I don't really think they could. When you're looking at these men with their very serious shortcomings, all right, seriously, I don't know if the opinion polls could really tell us what's really going on. I really don't think so. So maybe we may have to wait until next year as we get closer to the elections, or maybe the Democrats might do what everybody's saying they're going to do, is that they're going to remove Biden and putting maybe Kamala or maybe our governor, Gavin Newsom. That's all possible, which will make the race more interesting and quite strange. But these dynamics that is ongoing right now is almost impossible to pick up in opinion polls because of the condition of Joe Biden's mind and the potential problems that.
Well, I would say it's the condition of both of their minds, but different reasons for both of it. But I'm serious.
I am more scared of a man in cognitive decline having access to the nuclear codes than of a man who does say some really crazy, ridiculous things at times. Okay, seriously.
Yeah, well, this is not the first time we had cognitive decline in the White House, right? Woodrow Wilson had the stroke, and so he was, and his wife essentially ran the White House for 3 years.
Yeah, it's alleged that his wife was running the government.
Ran the White House for 3 years.
Yes.
Ronald Reagan, in his last 3 years in office, they essentially hid him away in the White House.
Yes.
But I think that's the difference. They were smart enough to hide them away. I mean, that's the difference, right? When other presidents were in cognitive decline, they hide them away, they bring them out for the State of the Union thing, and then they push them back in behind the scenes. And okay, that's kind of, if you're going to do it, that's how you have to do it, because you're essentially kneecapping your own administration.
That's true. But this raises to me a point that is that we shouldn't left unsaid. This is a serious corruption in our system that allow these sort of things to happen. I mean, we elected, I mean, I didn't vote for Joe Biden, obviously, but we elected a president of the United States. And everything tells us this man is incapable of running the country. So who's running the country if Joe Biden is not? Somebody in the White House who we did not elect is running the country.
Yeah, it's the chief of staff or the first lady, right? Historically, that's what happens.
Yeah.
The chief of staff and the first lady run the White House.
And that may be absolutely true. But we didn't elect these people.
Yeah, but that's not how the system is supposed to be designed.
Exactly. So that's a serious corruption in the system that I think is somewhat dangerous, quite frankly.
Yeah, and we're going to move on because I don't want to beat this one to death, but we're going to talk about a little bit of different corruption. There was a James Biden, the brother of Joe Biden.
Joe Biden, yes.
Has admitted to the FBI that he was, shall we say, chauffeuring deals between the Chinese to get some regulatory burdens in Louisiana. Now, none of these deals actually went through, but they did wire $250,000
yes,
to the Biden house.
Yes,
yeah, they literally sent $250,000 to his house directly. And why the deal didn't go through, so everybody says, well, it's not really corruption. But they tried.
They tried, exactly.
They tried, and that actually should be corruption. And we just ignore time and time again. If the guy's on our side, we're going to ignore corruption. If the guy's if the person's on the other side, we're going to act like it's an affront to democracy itself, and our whole country and culture is at stake. It's this dichotomy that it's one or the other. It's not one, well, yeah, okay, corruption's bad, so let's clean it all up. Yeah. No, it's just that guy's corruption is the worst it's ever seen, and don't look at mine. It's nothing, it's just routine behavior.
But this is a serious problem, okay? I mean, we could laugh and joke about it, but this is a serious problem. Because right now, as we sit here, we are looking at, we just spoke about the fact that Donald Trump is under 91 counts in the 4 indictments that have been handed down against him. And is all of it true? I don't think so, but maybe some of it may be. So which suggests some sort of corruption going on that side, okay? Then we have Joe Biden, his son, and his brother involved in all sorts of influence, some clear influence peddling. I mean, there's no doubt about it now. I mean, we can't even speculate about this anymore. I mean, the House of Representatives, have the Oversight Committee, have found that these people have 23 shell companies, and nobody knows what these companies do other than hide money. We can't tell. So far, we don't know. So the problem is, though, this is corruption going on at the highest level, okay, at the highest level of government. And nobody is seriously going after it. Nobody is seriously investigating. Well, I guess the houses probably could say they are going after these people who are engaged in these sort of conduct that is certainly not permitted under our laws. We just, Bob Menendez from New Jersey, a senator, he was just indicted. They found cash in his house. They found gold bars in his house. All kinds of stuff in his house. He had a Mercedes Benz that was donated by somebody. And all these sort of things. These are high government officials. This guy is a senator, actually, Bob Menendez is a senator. But all of these efforts, all of these corruptions are ongoing. And it seems to me that we are permitting it and we are allowing it. And it's this permission of lawlessness is really damaging our society. And this is a real problem. And we better do something about these things. Otherwise, we won't have a country anymore.
Yeah, it's a selective prosecution, right?
Absolutely.
We'll prosecute Donald Trump, fair enough, but we won't prosecute, the Biden family. And maybe the Biden family is more competent at being corrupt, right? I have they wrote the rules, so they probably know how to skate them, right?
Exactly.
How to skirt them.
Exactly.
And so they're probably more, but that just means we should be more. I don't know if I'm actually more upset now with the politicians who are corrupt or the voters who know they're corrupt and continue to vote for them. I mean, I think that's actually a far bigger problem than the politicians being corrupt themselves.
This is the real problem, James, and you're so right about that. Because I think one of the founders, and it might have been Ben Franklin. I don't remember which one of them. But they spoke that whichever founding father it was spoke about the problems of having a complacent electorate or ill-informed electorate, and this is what we have right now: ill-informed and complacent.
Well, and George Washington himself warned about creating parties and becoming more loyal to the party than to the society that we live in.
Exactly.
And that's kind of what we're facing.
Yes.
All right, so we're going to move on again. Net neutrality. There has been a new director appointed to the FCC.
Yes.
So net neutrality is back on the table.
In full force.
And the internet has been working relatively
very well, yes.
for 40 years now, right?
Yeah,
30, 40 years.
Yeah.
And since when has government regulations made anything better and less expensive?
This is digital socialism. That's what it is. Okay? Because they wanted everybody should be treated equally. Regardless of the content of the thing, whether it's websites, whether it's data streaming or whatever, it all have to be treated equally and all that kind of stuff. And I noticed the nice words they have: net neutrality.
Yeah, they're great about choosing words.
Great at coming up with very nice words. And this is all this net is a nice word to foretell the intervention of government into the free functioning of the internet. The internet, like you said, have worked very well. Okay, are there things on the internet I wish were not there? Of course. Are there things I wish our children would not have to see on the internet? Of course. But every time we make progress in life, there are always good things and bad things about it. The internet is no different. But the government intervening with regulations to make everything nice and equal and wonderful is going to end up with misery. Because every government intervention you could ever see in society always ends in one place. It's misery. Misery for the society at large. And this will be no different. If this ever go into laws and regulations and that kind of stuff, it will be no different. No, it's digital socialism at its worst.
Because it will be the exact opposite of neutrality. They're going to be picking who gets to...
Yes, winners and losers.
The winners and losers,
yes.
And whose use of the internet is more socially important than somebody else's use of the internet. And so it won't be neutral at all. It's going to be bureaucrats deciding who gets more access than others. And the reality is, we decide that now.
Yes.
I have a lot of home internet needs, right? So I purchase a plan. It's actually relatively inexpensive. That gives me all the internet I need.
Right.
Somebody else doesn't need that much internet, because I do a lot of live streaming and recording and video work at home. And so I need more internet than somebody else.
Yes.
So I have to pay for it. It makes sense.
Of course.
But if everybody has the same internet, the same access to the internet, either I'm not going to have enough, or somebody else is going to have way more than they need and be overpaying, because that's what's going to happen.
Yeah, and it always does. I mean, look. I mean, a great example of this one-size-fits-all mentality. Look at the public schools. Look at the public schools. I mean, these public schools is a national disgrace. I mean, don't start me on that one. I'll try not, I'll contain myself on that, okay? It's a national disgrace. But the whole point about it is just government intervention in education where they should not be, okay? And anytime you see the government intervening, they always come with the concept that they could do better than the marketplace. You just spoke about paying for your internet, for your needs. Fine, and that's exactly what I do too. I pay for my needs. And the marketplace is very good at discerning who needs what and when.
Yeah.
But some bureaucrats sitting in Sacramento or sitting in Washington, D.C., they're not going to do that any better than the marketplace can. No way.
And is government mandated internet going to actually be able to get cheaper and faster over the course of 10 years like it has? I pay less now for more internet, for better internet than I did 10 years ago.
Me too.
And
me too.
And so the horror of markets.
Yes.
All right, well, we're going to bring up another horror. AOC has proposed to raise taxes on the top 5% of wage earners in New York. Well, in New York City, that means it's like $127,000 for a single earner.
Oh, yeah.
So like $250 for a married couple. But that's in New York City, one of the most expensive places to live in the world.
Yes.
So you're barely middle class at $127,000 in New York City. And she's going, well, that's the taxes on the rich.
Rich, yes.
Yeah.
You know.
And what are the consequences? One of the things you never talk about is what are the consequences of this? The goods are the government gets some more money and we get to spend it on things allegedly that we want. But what are the downsides? Well,
the downsides of all of this always, I hate to say this, but this woman is an idiot, okay? I hate to say that, so I'm sorry, but she's an idiot. But anyway, but the downsides of raising taxes is that it's going to change behavior in the marketplace, okay? The wealthy people are going to take their money and run. And this is what's happening right here in California right now. We don't have to go all the way to New York to see that. The regulation and the taxes are driving people out. The most productive people in our society, the people who we need to create jobs, they're running, they're fleeing our state. They're fleeing New York also. New York, Illinois, and California were the three states that had the largest net out migration in the last 2, 3, 4 years because of taxes and regulation. So if AOC comes along and she says, well, she is successful in her plan to raise taxes and where the rich people are now redefined as at $127,000 of income, dear God, what do you think is going to happen? People are going to look for safe harbors. They're going to move. They're going to move, or they're going to start hiding their money. Hiding the money. Whichever way, it's going to lower the tax base. Yeah, that's what's going to happen. We've seen it before. Every time they put taxes on luxury goods, what happens is the rich just start buying stuff in other states. Absolutely. Because they're rich, they can do that. They can do that, exactly. And this is what these people do not realize. Anytime you change the tax code, whether you raise it or you lower it, people will respond in the marketplace. Behavior will change in the marketplace. It always does. These people have this mentality of vacuum regulations that, oh, I could do this and nothing else has happened except I will get more revenue from these people. But this is nonsense. Yeah. Because the rich can move their money around, and they always do. But these people can't seem to understand that simple concept. Yeah, they move their money or themselves. Or themselves, yes. Right, and yes. That's... Okay, so actually maybe a month or so ago, we had some technical difficulties in studio, and we didn't get to it from the field. So Mr. Richard Fields has a comment about the recent Argentina primary elections. And so we want to hear what Richard has to say. So, Richard?
Javier Milei just came in first with over 30% in Argentina's open presidential primary. He's libertarian. He's an economist who understands Austrian free market economics. He did not shy away from controversial libertarian positions, legalizing drugs, today, I think. Eliminating the Argentina central bank and dollarizing the economy, slashing government spending and taxes, reduced restrictions on gun ownership, even legalization of human organ sales. He's anti-abortion, which some libertarians will agree with and some not. In Argentina, the open presidential primary allows voters to vote for anyone in any party. Milei won all the votes in his nascent La Libertad Avanza party, or Freedom Advances in English. Hardline conservative law and order candidate Patricia Bullrich won the most votes in Argentina's center-right party with 28%. The left-wing Peronist party winner was Sergio Massa with 27%. So it will be Libertarian Milei, conservative Bullrich, and Peronist Massa on the ballot in October. If one candidate does not poll at least 45% or more than 10% over the second-place candidate in October, there will be a runoff in November. The next president of Argentina could very well be a libertarian, with huge challenges. Inflation is variously estimated at 115% to 140% or more. The value of the Argentine peso on the black market is half the official rate. Unions have a stranglehold on public sector employment. The debt to the International Monetary Fund is a huge $44 billion, or nearly $1,000 for every man, woman, and child in Argentina. The last time dollarization was tried in Argentina, it ultimately failed. If Milei wins, he will have a tiny contingent in the country's legislature. That will make enacting his agenda very difficult. Already, the world's mass media are calling him far right and comparing him to Trump and Brazil's Bolsonaro. The left-wing populist Peronists came to power in 1942. With brief interludes of Me Too conservative rule, they have been in charge for almost a century. They transformed one of the richest, most productive countries in the world to third world status. The people may have, finally, had enough. We send our encouragement and best wishes to Javier Milei and hope that the name of his party, Freedom Advances, is prophetic. Javier Milei.
Thank you, Richard.
Just came in.
That's an interesting. Take on Argentina, right?
Yeah.
How they're bouncing from extreme right to extreme left, back and
right,
forth,
yes,
and
yes.
now maybe they might choose a different path. I think that's
and you see this, in all over the world, that people, after they have had too much of the left, they go to the right, and then they have too much of the right, they go to the left. You see this all over the world, and I think Argentina is going through that same kind of cycle, I would say.
Yeah, well, hopefully they're kind of settling down.
Yeah,
Settling down. There's some issues. We've got like 4 minutes, and there's really not enough time, so we're going to try to cover it. Yeah. The climate science truth is there's a handful of things have happened recently that no one seems to be putting together, right? So they're claiming to be that the warmest year on record is this summer, right? They're making that claim again. Of course, they make that claim every year.
Every year.
And then 6 months later, when all the data finally gets finalized, it's, oh, well, never mind, it really wasn't. Scientists have now told us that stop planting new forests because it's bad or something for the environment, because that place was never forested before, maybe. It's all very confusing. Scientists can't make up their minds. A solar eruption happened last week, and the coronal ejection hit the Earth 12 hours before they expected it, so these people have no idea what they're actually doing, which is fine. It's a complex, hard thing to do. Yeah. I'm not complaining that they get it wrong. Stop saying it's true when you know that there's a wide range of variables, right?
Of course.
When you don't have all the data, say this is what we think is going to happen, but And to go back to a couple of years actually. There was a South Atlantic anomaly involving a dent in the Earth's magnetic field. And we know over the last 10, 15 years, the Earth's magnetic field has been weakening.
Yes.
And not just weakening, moving, right?
Yeah.
Now, whether it's preparing for a polar shift or not, we don't know. But it is changing. And, when your magnetic field weakens, you're allowing more energy from the sun to reach the planet. Yes, and so when you combine all these things, and I'm not going to say plus, the humans adding, greenhouse gases, plus, all these. Do we actually know what we're talking about when we talk about science and the climate?
No, we don't, actually. We don't, okay? And, actually, this may sound extreme, this whole climate change agenda that's going on right, I think is a hoax, quite frankly. Now, I'm not saying that there are not phenomena going on out there that will cause changes in the climate. Well, the climate is always changing, and it's always changing because of activities on Earth, whether it is man creating those activities, whether it's the animals having their normal passing of gas, shall we say, whatever.
Well, I have to point out, humans are actually behaving as humans would behave.
There you go.
We are evolutionary creatures.
Right, and we are part of the environment, believe it or not. I don't know if that's news to anyone. But the point is, though, if you go back and look at some of the predictions that have been made about the climate and the earth and the environment and all kinds of stuff, nearly all of them have been wrong. If you look on the cover of Time magazine, I think it was in 1974 or something like that. I think it was January or April, one of them, in 1974. And these people were telling us we're going into a cooling age. These same people are not telling us we're going into a warming age. And it just goes back to what you say. They don't know what they're talking about, okay? And these 97% of these scientists who all agree that climate change is an existential threat or what the hell it is, they're a bunch of...
Well, it was never 97% of climate scientists.
It was not. Exactly.
They handed it around to a bunch of people who had agreed with them and said, hey, 97% of people who work in a science field agree with me.
Exactly. There you go.
Well, of the people I asked.
Exactly. Yeah. But science is never forwarded. Science does not progress by consensus.
No.
When Isaac Newton came up with calculus, he didn't go around and ask his buddies, hey, what do you think about my calculus equation here? He didn't ask anybody. He came up with it, proved it, and it has withstood scrutiny for the last 400 years almost. Yeah. Okay? You don't make science, science don't progress through consensus. So this 97% nonsense is just, that's what it is. It's nonsense. It's nonsense.
Yes, the notion of science having truth, right? Science doesn't actually find truth. It finds answers. Yes. And answers can change based upon the information you gather. Yes. And I think that's one of the things that we need to have a more open discussion about. We are out of time. Leon, thank you for being with me here. Thank you to the crew inside for all their hard work. And thank you for watching the show. I might have lost my camera there. Yeah. We will see you next week. Good night. And please remember to love everybody.
Yes, indeed.